And good morning, everybody. This is Sherman Ray. This is Black Success Magazine, the podcast. And good morning, everybody. This is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. Looking forward to another great show today. Black Success Magazine comes to you each and every day, Monday through Friday, 8:30 in the morning Pacific Standard Time till about, 9 o'clock or so, where we talk about the people, the places, the trends, the news, everything from a Black success perspective. And we've been getting a lot of calls on our website that people are really digging the new format of our website. So I'm very excited to announce that we did kind of change up the website just a little bit, add some more things. So all the stuff that, and even more stuff that we normally would talk about on the podcast, we're putting on our website. So the articles and stuff like that, things that I just haven't had time to put on the on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. Excuse me, I got something under my desk here. We'll put on our Facebook, or excuse me, on our website at blacksuccessmagazine.com. You can go there. If you'd like to send me an email, as always, just send it to info@blacksuccessmagazine.com. Would love to hear from all of our fans and people and well-wishing, people just encouragement. Love to get the words of encouragement all the time. As always, you can always follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts. Today in our third block, we're going to talk about 7 essential tips to make you a better negotiator. Yeah, I know this is going to be the good one. I'll tell you, if you struggle, like a lot of people I know, to negotiate a good deal, then the third block is really where you want to be at, because we're going to talk about 7 essential tips that you're going to need to learn in order to become a better negotiator. And so I'm very excited about that. Let's start off with something pretty incredible, because last night, if you watched basketball last night, and many of us did, you watched Baylor not just beat Gonzaga. Folks, they put the beat down on them. Yeah, it was pretty tragic. And so we wanted to start off the day, on a happy note, right? Baylor denies Gonzaga a bid for perfection. Gonzaga, the Zags, right? Gonzaga had a storied tale all year long. They for the NCAA men's basketball title, people were assured. I was assured that they were going to come through and not just win, but they were probably going to win in epic fashion. They had some great talent on their team. Matter of fact, Saturday when they won Saturday, it was a buzzer beater. In overtime, Suggs, their forward, shot it from like almost half court and won to beat UCLA. And so we figured they're going into Baylor. Now, this is what happened, though. Charles Barkley said something, and many of you know who Charles Barkley is. Yes, he is the sage. He's the guru. Charles Barkley said that, excuse me. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. And Chris Dyer was telling us about Michael Strahan when he got his teeth done. Yes. And it was an April Fool's joke, but it was a very, very funny one. So Charles Barkley told everybody that if Baylor was not taken seriously, they were going to beat Gonzaga, because these were grown men playing against other grown men, and this was not going to be a walkover. That Gonzaga was not going to just walk over Baylor. From the get-go, this game really was only close a couple of times, right at the beginning of the game, and then I think sometime in the third period or part of the second half, when Gonzaga came within like 9 points. But after that, that was done. And nothing to be ashamed of. Really, there's nothing to be ashamed of. These were young brothers, young men that were playing, and they did a great job. So I just don't know. You really can't You can't fault these guys because it was just a great, you know, game. There's another story. What do we want to go to? There was a story about, now many of you know who Jay-Z is. Many of you know who Bob Johnson is. There was a story about it. The guys are very rich. Bob Johnson's very rich. He's a billionaire. Jay-Z, he's a billionaire also. Jay-Z, a la rap music, Beyonce, you know, Bay and, you know, Jay and Bay. There was both of these individuals, as well as quite a few other people, you know, Dr. Dre, you know, people like that, have sold their companies. As a result of that, they have been dubbed sellouts. Yeah, I know, this is crazy. So they've been dubbed sellouts because they sold their companies to non-black people, you know. And so there was an article that was talking about how no, they are not sellouts, just because a black. So here's the whole idea behind business. You do business for one reason, to make money. Okay. And if you can make a lot of money, especially for us in the black community, you can turn around and divert part of your funds to helping other blacks to move forward. Hopefully, during the time that you've been in business, you've been helping blacks, but you can continue that cycle of building into the community by turning around and actually pouring money back into the black community. Just like, gosh, and we just did a story on him yesterday, and I never remember his name. Oh gosh, I'll forget it. I'll remember later. But there, people have been looking at these guys, especially Bob Johnson and Jay-Z, and they've been saying, hey, you're a sellout because you sold your company. So here's an article. This one's in blacknews.com. It says, apparently if a black-owned company is bought out by another company that is not black-owned, the owners are automatically classified as sellouts. In other words, they've betrayed their own community, okay, which just doesn't make any sense. Article goes on. We're not going to go through the whole thing. They cite people like Sean Diddy Combs. We used to call him P. Diddy, but they call him Sean, or he's called him Puffy Combs. They said he sold his majority stake of Sean John Fashions to Global Brands Group Holdings. He was never labeled a sellout. Berry Gordy in '88 sold Motown Records to MCA. And they cite a couple of other people. But here's the deal. We should not look at individuals who make business decisions to advance what they believe will be success as sellouts, especially if these guys have been doing some great things for the black community. Now, it'd be different if the brother says, you know what, I'm going to sell out and, hey, I'm just going to go out and, you know, screw away my money. But this in no way has been an indication of Berry Gordy, Jay-Z, Sean Combs, you know, people like that. Dikembe Mutombo. No. Remember him? Okay. These guys have done nothing but been prolific in the black community and have really spent a lot of time investing in the black community. Myself, okay, I'm not here to toot my own horn, folks, but I've been working in the black community for decades, not just a few years or decades, where I've been really pouring into the black community. So if I all of a sudden decide to sell something and I didn't sell it to another black individual, which I've tried to do on several occasions, a couple of businesses that I've had, I don't expect to be called a sellout. Okay. And I don't think, and I would never call another black individual a sellout. So this is just kind of unfair. Hey, when we come back, and stick around for the third block, folks, because we're going to talk about, in the third block, we're going to be talking about 7 essential tips on how to make you a better negotiator. But in our next block, we're going to talk a little bit more about some cool things, especially one young lady who's making a name for herself in the New York Stock Exchange. This is Sherman Wright, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. Be back in just a second. Oh, man. I got to roast some coffee. All right. Okay, folks, we are back. I'm going to put some bumper music in the middle when I drink my coffee because I know some people are really probably upset that I do that. So we are right in the middle right now. I want to make sure everybody knows that we are right in the middle right now of pre-production for Las Vegas Speaks. Why I mention that is because that is going to be it's going to be good. It's going to be a great opportunity for business owners, for people who want to advertise their businesses, to be a part of a really just a great venture. So we're looking forward to that. If you'd like more information about Las Vegas Speaks, about being a sponsor, you'd like to be an advertiser on it, just send me an email at info@lasvegasspeaks.com and you'll get all the information you want. There's a young lady, and gosh, where's the story at? Okay, I don't believe in waiting on this, folks. This is a really good story. The youngest female trader in Wall Street's history is a 26-year-old Black woman who is on path to become the new face of finance. This is really cool. Her name is Lauren Simmons, and I'll show you her picture in just a second, but I'm not going to show it to you yet. 26-year-old, native Atlanta, suburb of Marietta, has already had a handful of successful careers. She's a public speaker, author, producer, financial guru. She's most known for a breakthrough on Wall Street. When she was 22, she became the youngest female trader in the 225-year history of the New York Stock Exchange. Okay. This was literally 4 years ago. She did this. She was 22 at the time. She was just the second Black female ever to trade on the New York Stock Exchange floor and spent 2 years working there, earning the name, get the name that they gave her, the Wolfette of Wall Street, right? That's pretty cool. Now Simmons is embarking on a new journey. She's in production as the host of a new streaming series called Going Public, which is set to debut this fall. 10-part series will debut. A diverse cast of entrepreneurs are going to find investors who can help them get their business listed on the trade on NASDAQ. So she's also trying to get businesses to go public, which is very cool. So so they show a picture of her, and I got to show you a picture of her, guys. I know I sometimes waste time on this, but this is actually pretty cool. So this is, let's see if I can find her. There she goes. All right. This is the woman who's actually going to be the face, okay, going public, okay. Very excited about this story for her. Lauren Simmons. This was her, I would assume, filming the show. Good luck to you, Lauren. I really appreciate it. 26 years of age and is just knocking it out of the park. So we're very excited for her that she's going to be doing some really great things in the future. Not only is she really good looking, okay? I mean, she's a very pretty girl, but she is incredibly smart. Okay, that's a team up right there. I mean, you just, you don't get usually. So I was going to say something stupid, but you generally we're excited for you, Lauren, that you're doing some great things there for your, and you're making making a headway. There was another story. Let's talk about the NBA. So the NBA, and then we'll go back to one of the last stories before we take our break here. The NBA Foundation announces a second grant to boost career opportunities, economic empowerment in Black communities. So the NBA has put together just a pot of money. How much did they put together? $30 million, I think it is. Let me make sure. No, I was wrong. $300 million. So the NBA has committed $300 million to assist underserved communities. More than $3 million will be distributed in this round of grants, and money will support firms focused on Black employment and assist in the career advancement of Black people, so the NBA is probably, I think it's about 85% Black. So 85% of the players in the NBA are Black. And each one of them brothers is making great money. There's no doubt about it. So they're making great money. So the NBA says, hey, we are going to recognize that our greatest constituents, our greatest, the people who are making the money for all the coaches and and everybody. And literally, can you imagine how much money the NBA and the NFL contribute to the economies of those particular sports? And the players who make up the vast majority of the players are people of color. Okay. There used to be a time when the NBA was all white. There used to be a time when the NFL was all white. There used to be a time when the MLB was all white. But now, especially in the NBA and the NFL, predominantly black players, and it only makes sense. It really only makes sense. And this was actually something that probably should have been done many, many years ago. What I'm hoping to see is, and this will be a huge thing, if we see the individual players come together and say, hey, look, we're not only going to be doing some great things as a part of the NBA, but we are going to put together a pot of money that is going to start educational opportunities for people of color. So just like Dikembe, okay, Dikembe Mutombo, okay, Dikembe Mutombo, African, tall. You remember the guy who, no, 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 and he slaps the ball away in commercials and stuff like that, which is incredibly funny. Dikembe Mutombo and many African players, the first thing they're thinking about once they've made some money is giving back to Africa, okay? And I personally believe this, and this is just me, is that the reason why 5% of slaves were able to make it up here to America is that God in his divine wisdom, and I know this is going to sound very esoteric and kind of spooky spiritual, but hear me out on this. I believe blacks in America were put here for a reason, and that reason wasn't just to play basketball. It was to become the people who are going to help blacks in Africa, the Caribbean, Latin America, with the resources that we have. Okay, and I'm going to leave it at that. Maybe I'll write a book on it or something like that. But there's an absolute reason why we have been able to make so much money here in America that you don't see anyplace else in the world. Okay, other than a couple of blacks in Africa themselves, okay, just a handful of blacks in Africa themselves, but the vast majority of Africans across the planet live in abject poverty. But there's a way for them to get out of that abject poverty, and that's blacks in America doing what we can to help that. So, okay, we'll do that. All right, and. So last story before we have to leave, because I've got just enough time. Many of you have probably heard of Fantasia. So Fantasia, 6 months pregnant, and she got admitted to the hospital with early contractions from her pregnancy. So we want to keep our prayers out to her. She's expecting her. I think she already has 2 kids already, but she's got this is her 3rd child, and it's her first child with husband Kendall Taylor. He's some brilliant guy. He's a motivational speaker, entrepreneur, that kind of stuff. And so she was admitted to the hospital just over the weekend. So we're really praying for her that she's able to to make it through this. So we want to make sure we do that. Okay. So in our last segment, we're going to be talking about 7 essential tips to make you a better negotiator. Stick around, folks, because this is going to be pretty cool. If you struggle, like a lot of people I know, with negotiating, this is going to help you. Okay. So this is Sherman Wright, Black Success Magazine podcast. Hang on. We'll be back in a minute. All right. Okay. We are back. And in our last segment, we talked a little bit about the NBA, and I kind of went off on a tangent about my esoteric belief that blacks are the saviors of all black people on the planet. Okay. I didn't mean it to sound like that, but I just strongly believe that we don't need government programs in order for Black people to be successful. I just don't believe it. I believe Blacks can do it very well on themselves. Robert F. Smith, and I remembered his name. Robert F. Smith pledged, I think it was $36 million to Morehouse College to pay off all of the uh, school loans for that graduating class. This is just 2 years ago. One individual changed the lives of literally, it was about 300 students that graduated. So I think it was a little over 300 students. One individual said, hey, you know what? I'm feeling kind of good today. I'm going to pledge $36 million for a grant for you guys. And what did that do? That opened a floodgate of people wanting to pay for kids' college educations in HBCUs, or historically Black colleges and universities. Okay. It didn't take a government mission to do that. It took an individual. Right now, Puffy Combs could do it. Jay-Z could do it. All these guys could do it. And all they got to do is say, I'm going to pledge $100 million. Okay. If you're a billionaire, $100 million is a lot of money. Yes, it is. But it could change the lives of literally a generation of people. Thousands of people, tens of thousands of people. Okay. So, okay. Anyways, let's go. Let's talk about 7 essential tips to make you a better negotiator. And if you are applying for a job, if you're wanting a raise, you're hiring somebody for a job, being able to negotiate is essential. When my wife is great at this stuff, I mean, not just good, she's really, really good at this stuff. And if I need somebody to negotiate for me, I just send my wife in there. I just tell her, I said, look, honey, this is, you know how to do it. Okay. Because you're just excellent at this stuff. And so we do that. Okay. Tip number 1, be ready to walk away. Okay. If you feel that you can't walk away from a deal, you're at a real disadvantage in any negotiation. If you're in a position where you must sell your home or business, get a job, or make a deal with a supplier, the other party will sense this and make the most of it. You have to be in a position where you're saying, okay, you know what? I'm making a deal with you, but I'm ready to walk away at any time. One of the first things I do when I'm making a deal is I assess what I'm doing. And I say, okay, am I going to put myself, am I at an advantage or am I at a disadvantage? I've walked away from more deals and not even batted an eyelash. And invariably, the person you're speaking with will come to you and go, well, wait a minute. Okay. I've got stuff that I just sold a really big ticket item fairly recently. And I had people offering me half for what the value of the product was, or the thing I was selling was. And I said, are you kidding me? There ain't no way. When I eventually sold this item full price, I got the price I wanted because I was not going to settle for less. You have to be ready to walk away. Number 2, have a win-win mindset. The traditional way to look at negotiations is to see them as a kind of contest where there's a winner and a loser. It's more productive to aim for a scenario where everyone benefits. If you think you have to beat the other party, it creates a confrontational atmosphere, okay, that can make it difficult to compromise, okay? There was a story, and I'm not going to tell the whole story, but there was a story of a young man who was basically brought into the business by his dad, and his dad said to him, okay, I want you to take over this part of the business, and I want you to buy these supplies. And when he bought the supplies from the supplier, he beat down the supplier. This is the kid, beat down the supplier so bad that it created a real bad scenario for him. The dad went back and he told the son, look, you give the guy his price for what he wanted for this particular item because you want to be able to work with that guy in the future. And the son learned a very valuable lesson there. Yes, you want to win. Okay, everybody always wants to win, but you have to create a situation where it's a win-win or a compromise situation because you want to be able to work with that person again in the future. Maybe some of our politicians probably can learn something from that right now. Number 3, be realistic. We already talked about the importance of having a win-win mentality. However, you also have to be clear and realistic about what it means to win. If you have inflexibility or unrealistic expectations, you'll find it difficult to negotiate effectively. Don't be unreasonable in what you want. Okay, if a guy has no money, you cannot get no money from, you can't get money from a guy with no money. So, or you can't get blood from a turnip. So be realistic in what you want. Okay, you can't ask for the moon, expecting the moon when you know the guy doesn't have the moon. Number 4. Okay, do I have time? Yes, I have time. Learn all about the other party. The better you understand the person or organization with whom you're negotiating, the better your position. It's always wise to learn as much as you can about somebody, such as their position, background, and financial situation. For example, if you're applying for a job, you should learn as much you can about the business as possible. This not only helps you answer interview questions more intelligently, but also helps you negotiate a salary if you're hired. Okay. Don't go into a, what it shows also is that you're actually taking and you're being considerate of the other person. Nobody likes to negotiate with somebody who they know just can care less about them. I've had employees who basically said, you know what? I don't care. I just don't care what you have. I want to make this much an hour, and I don't care if you go out of business. And so what I've done is I've basically shown that person the door. Okay, you can't deal with people like that. Okay, learn all you can about the other party. That way you can understand where are they able to bend, where are they not able to bend, and that'll help you because it shows that you actually care a little bit about the person. Number 5, know what matters to the other party. It's important to get into the mind of the other party and understand what matters to them. Some of this comes from doing your research, which we already mentioned before. However, you can learn more by paying attention to what is said and not said during the negotiations. Okay. You can find out a lot about a person just by when you speak to them. You say to them, okay, well, they said something about their child during the negotiation. And now all of a sudden you lock that away in your mind. You go, okay, this person has a child, which means that they've got responsibilities, which means that me pushing them in this direction may not get me anywhere because they're probably thinking about their family. Okay. So, or if they don't say something and this should have been said during the negotiation, you're saying to yourself, something's not right here. Okay. So you've got to keep that into consideration too. We've got just a couple more points to go here, and I don't have a lot of time. Number 6, ask for more than you expect. And many of us saw this during the last administration. If you ask for exactly what you want, you'll most likely have to settle for less. It's a common practice in real estate, for example, to set a high price with expectations that you'll come down. Same holds for conditions, amenities, and extras. Okay. Don't ask for exactly what you want. Ask for more, and you could set the percentage higher, knowing that you're going to come back down to the price that you're going to get. And lastly, look for low-cost ways to add value. If you can find free or low-cost ways to sweeten the pot, you may be able to ask for more or lower your cash outlay. Okay, so I did this when I just sold this last big ticket item. I gave them a couple of things during the negotiations. Things that I really didn't need, but things that were actually valuable that I knew that they needed for their particular project. Okay. Anyways, those are 7 essential tips for how to to be a better negotiator. This has been Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. I hope to see you again tomorrow, folks, for another fun-packed show. Remember, folks, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts. You can always go to our website, blacksuccessmagazine.com, to check us out. And if you have any questions at all, folks, send me an email. Send it to info@blacksuccessmagazine.com. This has been Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, for another edition of Black Success Magazine, the podcast. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.